Are you ready to get serious about building content sites and building a profitable business online? Welcome to the Niche Website Builders Podcast. We bring you the latest field-tested tips, tricks, and strategies for building a profitable online asset. We interview industry experts, share customer success stories, and reveal our own experiences working on hundreds of sites to inspire and motivate you to make something happen. Let's do this.
Welcome to the Niche Website Builders Podcast. Today we have Jason Mills from the Affiliate School, and we cover a whole bunch of affiliate marketing. So Jason is a big time affiliate marketer making his living doing that. And we cover his age domain case study that he covered on his YouTube channel not too long ago. And we dive into the niche, why he chose that niche, the age domain, his content strategy, how much he's making on that site with very little pages. I mean, we're talking about like 50 total pages and making 5 figures. So that's something serious there. His content strategy, his move into expanding into YouTube. And we also cover his new project with his wife, which is his travel blog, and kind of dive into some more principles around that. We just kind of shoot the shit back and forth, and we talk a lot about the fitness niche itself, because we're both in that niche, and we talk about a lot about the EEAT and easy ways that you can differentiate yourself from your competitors. So sit back and enjoy.
This episode is brought to you by Niche Website Builders, an agency dedicated to helping people just like you build profitable content sites. Niche Website Builders are the hands-off content site marketing agency you always wished existed. It's run by content site marketers for content site marketers, and they help both investors and individuals alike build profitable online properties. They provide a fully outsourced approach to content creation, link building, and done-for-you website builds, the same approach they use on their own 6-figure portfolios. For example, their content packages come with a proprietary keyword research process, are written by in-house native English speakers, formatted using templates proven to convert, and uploaded to WordPress with affiliate links added so that all you need to do is hit the publish button. Check them out at nichewebsite.builders/show. That's nichewebsite.builders/show, and fill out the form to get coupon codes for 10% more content or a 10% discount on links with your first order sent right to your inbox.
Yeah. All right. Welcome to the Niche Website Builders Podcast. Today we have Jason Mills. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you for having me, James. Pleasure to be here.
No, thank you for coming on. I know you're a big affiliate guy, so I wanted to ask you first, how often do you check your affiliate dashboards for commissions?
Great question. I'm going to be honest as well. It is multiple times per day, which is terrible. I should not be doing that at all. But it's just addictive, isn't it? It's so difficult. And particularly at a time in the year where your commissions are it's historically a good time of the year. I check it more, and I know I shouldn't. And you know what? Actually, the best thing is when I go away on holiday and I stop checking, I find that I make more money. And I don't know if that's because it's like trying to watch a kettle boil and that sort of stuff. But I've got to stop doing it. What about you? How often do you check?
Same as you, man. Multiple times a day. The worst one is some of the programs I get email notifications when I make sales. But I like that. It's like a hit. It's like a big hit. It's like, yes, I made a sale.
Dopamine hit. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. To be honest, it keeps me wanting to keep doing more and more on the site when I get stuff like that. So for me, I'm kind of like, I check it multiple times. I see sales, or I get emails, but that's kind of like motivation at the same time.
Definitely. Not good for productivity, though, probably.
True. So maybe let's dive into a little bit of your background. Maybe let's start with how you kind of got into this area, why you've kind of focused on affiliate, and then we'll dive into some of your case studies.
Sure thing, yeah. My first foray into SEO, I suppose, was through starting a fantasy football blog back in the day. So fantasy soccer for those in the US.
Yeah.
And really, it was just a blog. It was just me going on, writing tips each week, like who to pick, who to put as a captain and things like that. Did a podcast alongside it as well. And it started to get some traction. So there was organic traffic coming in. And obviously, I wanted to kind of learn more about how to bring more traffic, how to get increased rankings. And so that was how I started to learn about SEO. And I was pretty much self-taught in terms of that. Got it to a decent level and started to get sponsorship for the site, sponsorship for the podcast, set up a bit of a membership site around it. And then realised that having to write this fresh content every week, multiple pieces of content each week just to get it to rank, was a lot of hard work. And it was pretty much just myself writing the content. So from there, I started to dabble in a bit of client SEO freelance work. And I'm still working full time at this point. So I used to be a teacher. I was working full time. And I'd be writing blog posts on my lunch break when I could, and then obviously after school and stuff like that. I mean, we even recorded podcasts in my school, in my department office with the PE teachers, and we'd be around after school recording a podcast, trying to hide from the head teacher. And then did some client work, and then I started to think, do you know what? I'm doing all this client stuff, getting good rankings for them. I need to do something of my own. So that was when I started to dabble in niche sites, and my first one or two just didn't take off. I didn't really know what I was doing with it. But then kind of pre-pandemic, it was probably 2018. I started a fitness site, and I got into it purely because we were sat in a pub one night with some mates, and we were drinking on a Thursday night. And we said, look, we can't keep doing this. We've got to get fit. So we agreed to do this 3-month or 6-month fitness challenge. And there were 4 of us doing it. And so I just really went full tilt at it, got into it, started learning a lot about health and fitness. And so I thought, I'm researching this info. I may as well put this to use. So I started a niche site in it. And then that just started to fly, and then I've gone from there basically. And now I work in a variety of niches. It's not just health and fitness, but I am still fairly prominent in that space as well. Yeah,
nice.
And then I think obviously probably how you kind of came across me is through starting the YouTube channel with the affiliate school, and I suppose that was just a kind of bit of giving back, really, going back to my teaching roots, because I quit teaching 6 or 7 years ago now, so. It's just giving a bit back, and things have gone from strength to strength even since starting the affiliate school YouTube channel as well. So it's I think it just makes you more reflective, like you reflect on your own processes and everything when you kind of explain it to others. So I think it's just it's a win-win really, and that's kind of it. Whistle stop tour of the last 7 years of my life.
I came across your channel. A friend of mine, I was doing the background. A friend of mine. He's also in the health and fitness space with his site. He recently sold his for a good chunk, but he sent me your age domain case study, and
yes,
told me how interesting it was. So I went through that whole damn series as well. It was very insightful. It'll be interesting to go into the reasonings and strategies behind what you did there. And we can maybe start there. And we can branch off to all sorts of different things, but let's maybe start with. Why did you go into that specific niche? Feel free to share as much or as little as you like, but why you went into that specific niche and what you were looking for in the age domain that you ended up getting.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, niche-wise, it was a niche that I was fairly familiar with through other projects that I'd worked on. So that was kind of why I chose it. And one was familiarity, and 2 was that I knew that the products were high commission and high conversion. So that's like 2 big boxes ticked right from the off. And then in terms of kind of why I went with age domain, it was something I'd wanted to do anyway. And I just started an age domain project that I'd done privately, and that started really, really well. So I thought, well, let's do another one and do it from scratch and share it on the YouTube channel, share the progress, see how it goes. And I was very kindly offered a pick of any age domain through a marketplace called SERP Names, and they just let me choose anything if I then used their brand as part of the case study and mentioned it in each video. There were no real kind of terms and conditions with it. It was just, look, we're going to give you this, just mention us in each video update that you do. It's up to you how often you do it. And that just flew. I mean, the first month, 2 months, nothing was taking, nothing was indexing, and I was thinking, okay, we're just going to have to go warts and all, share that, you know, this is tough, this is how it is. But then suddenly it just flew. And like now it's just had its best month in, well, November was a record month, December was a record month, and now January looks like it's going to be a record month as well.
Yeah, because you rank for some lucrative keywords in that space, and I know you get lifetime commissions as well. So you still getting a lot of repeat buyers?
Yeah, repeat buy is good, and the commissions are still very good on that. I think they're like 30 or 40%, and I think I'm at 50% commission on those products for a first time sale. So, and some of the average order values, I mean, they range, but the average order value is about $100. So most sales are $50 commission on a single sale. So that's why I chose that niche. So I actually looked in advance of this podcast because I thought the question might crop up as to how many pages are on the site.
Yep, go for it.
And there are 39 posts and 18 pages. So if you bear in mind, probably 7 of those pages are just like generic stuff. So there's probably 40 pages or so that are actually like affiliate offers. So it's just insane. Like the traffic, there's good traffic. It's a trending niche, and I think it's a growing niche as well. So it's all the signs are good for it. Yeah.
So what do you put down to the success of the traffic and the conversions on that site with so little content in the grand scheme of things? Obviously, people always talk about, hey, you need all this info content to internally map to your review stuff, so you have the topical relevancy stuff. But you've only got 39 posts, and I'm assuming a lot of those are review style posts. Including some of the pages. So what do you think is, I guess, the underlying success there?
I think the key thing is keeping it tight because, so for example, the other Age Domain site that I started just prior to this one that started really well. It started really well, and then it tanked. It absolutely tanked. It still makes some money, it still gets some traffic, but nowhere near where it was. But with that site, I went quite broad. So it was almost like it was essentially a broader version of this site. This site is almost like a mini site in terms of. I've just noticed that I've gone blurry for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't know what's happening there.
Autofocus.
Yeah, there you go. It's slowly coming back. But this site I've gone super focused on, and that's I think a lot of the success has come down to that. And I think because it's not a massive niche, as in there's not thousands of products in this niche, it's easier and quicker to cover a lot of the ground. And don't get me wrong, like there is still ground to cover with it, but I'm probably 50% there with what's there at the moment. So I think that's part of it. Yeah.
What's the plan going forward then with the site in terms of content? Because if you covered 50% of it or so, you cover most of the products. What else are you going to cover to kind of fill it out?
I think that there are crossover niches that I'm trying to kind of move into a little bit more, and a lot of that is more informational based. So I've just taken on another writer for the site. So I've got one main writer for the site in addition to myself. I've now got a third. So she's just come on board, and she's actually just starting her own real life business in the same niche, but in the real world as opposed to online. So she's really happy to kind of have the exposure and be one of the public faces of the site. So really trying to double down on the EEAT side of things. Yeah. So, like a lot of these products that I've got, some of them have been tested, some of them haven't been properly tested, and it's just kind of scraping information from online. And I want to make sure that is as nailed down as it possibly can be. So I'm going through getting the physical products, and then one of the things that I want to run alongside that, and I think we just touched on it off air, is YouTube video, or just video in general. So bringing a lot more video, a lot more real just evidence that these products are being tested and so you can physically see it. And then in addition to that, it's just another traffic source, isn't it? You know, if we've got traffic coming in through YouTube as well, and it's another entity that can tie in with the main site. So there are still opportunities, like I say, to move maybe sideways into related niches, but I am a little bit hesitant to do that purely because of what happened with that other age domain. So it's baby steps really in terms of doing that. But it's going from strength to strength. I mean, just this week, so for a lot of the product review terms, everything was going page one straight away. And even a lot of the buyer's guide type stuff was as well. But what I would say is the main keyword, the buyer's guide for that has just gone page one. So that's a really good sign. And it's sitting there amongst, you've probably seen it, you know, the parasite SEO type stuff on high DA sites, you know, your SF gates and all that sort of stuff. It's sitting there right in with all that. I mean, for the product stuff, it's above all of them. But for this like kind of key term for the site, it was just on page 2, position 15 or so, and it's just now sitting around position 6. So it's beating off those high DA sites, which is great. Yeah,
I'm seeing similar things in Q1 now, like huge ranking and traffic boosts since the Christmas and New Year period ended. It's pretty nuts regarding that. But it's interesting. Obviously, you talk about we're in a niche. We'll call it just health and fitness in general. Obviously, it's one of those niches that are kind of discouraged for most people to get into in the beginning because of how competitive it is. So I guess, do you want to maybe share your thoughts on that? You know, like you got into a pretty competitive niche. Was there anything that, or at any point that you thought, hey, maybe this isn't a good idea? Or was it just, hey, I only need a small piece of the pie?
I think there's absolutely an element of that as an individual publisher, you can go after stuff that the big guys won't. So you don't need, or you don't necessarily, at the beginning, you don't feel like you need the big piece of the pie. So I think that's part of it for sure. In terms of getting scared off, of course, you watch stuff, don't you? You read stuff, you know, YMYL niches, and they're hard to rank for, and penalties, and you need the EEAT and everything. But you need EEAT for everything now. So if you're going to do it, you may as well do it for something that's worthwhile doing it in, rather than, you know, a hedgehog website or something like that. You know, and so yeah, it is pretty scary. But then the other side of it is, you look at the content that's out there. It's not amazing.
Oh my gosh,
the stuff that's on page one. And actually,
it's so bad.
I mentioned off air that I watched one of your interviews with Niche Website Builders when they introduced you, and you said that in that interview, which was probably a year ago or something. And the case is still the same today. Particularly if you look at like the stuff that's just the parasite SEO stuff. The quality of writing is shocking. But they rely on the high domain authority. But you know, I go back to it. I think at some point, Google is going to have to start delivering better results for that. Yeah. So it's, you know, if ultimately I just take the view that I try and produce better content than what's out there at the moment. And if I think I can do that, then I think that's part of the battle won. Of course, it's not always. There's other elements to it. But the other side of it is, I don't think it's as hard as people do make out. Don't get me wrong, it's not easy. But if you're consistent and you're passionate and you're knowledgeable and you can put all that into a blog or into a website, then you should, over time, if you stick with it and be consistent with that, then you should do well.
Yeah, and I think you getting the physical products and doing that too, like for me, that's been huge on my side too. I mean, I got the company, after actually watching your case study, I got the company to send me that product because I was like, brilliant. Maybe I want to review it, but I haven't done that yet. It's just sitting in the cupboard and I use it sometimes every now and then. But yeah, it's such an easy, low barrier to entry thing to do is to have the physical product. Yeah. I mean, in the health and fitness space, no one, in any space, but even in the health and fitness space, no one has the stuff.
They don't.
No one has the pictures. They don't. It's just Amazon. I mean, sometimes it's not even the picture, it's like a stock image.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, it's very easy to just right-click the image and search the image through Google Lens and it'll show, and Google's just got the list of every website that product's on, that specific image is on. So if I can do that and right click it, you can bet that Google is doing that themselves. They know that this image is used multiple times across the internet. So, I mean, and just to kind of flip that, I've just started this week, last week with my wife, a travel blog. And obviously a travel blog is, because we've got we've got photos for years of trips we've been on.
Nice.
We're putting them straight into the blog post that we're writing, and it's indexing immediately. And I genuinely can't believe how fast it's. We've got 3 posts on this 10-day-old site, and they've all indexed immediately. All I've done is submit the site in Google Search Console. That's it. I've just added it to Search Console, and then it's got stuff ranking. Okay, not at the top, but it's got page 7 and 8 rankings for keywords that are 60,000 searches a month, and that's after 7 to 10 days. And actually, it's ranked. And I couldn't believe this. I just added today the brand name for the website into my rank tracker, and it's position 2. It's got 3 pages on the site, so it's not as hard as people make out. And I think if you do the basics well, you can still make a lot of mistakes and get away with them. But I think unique imagery and video is absolutely key. Yeah,
nice. Let's jump into some of those basics as well. Obviously, the content you're writing is obviously well structured, well written, considering you're killing it in the age domain case study niche. So do you want to maybe dive into how you are setting out these review style articles specifically, because that's kind of where you're making the money?
Yeah.
And just maybe any tips and tricks within that you're using essentially as a content strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say there's any tips, or I wouldn't say there's any tricks necessarily. It's all the basic on-page SEO stuff. So just making sure that the main keyword is in the page title, the URL, and the H1 meta title. That's the absolute basic level. In terms of structure, most of my sites, so for each site that I've got, my writer has almost like a templated structure of what to expect to cover in a review or in a buyer's guide. Sometimes it might change a little bit, and I give them free rein to do that because they're well-established writers for these sites now. But typically, it will just look something like for a review, very short intro, a quick verdict, and that's something that I've just recently added in, and that's something that's really helping with conversion. It was something that I did off the back of the helpful content update, where Google are saying, we don't want people to have to scour through 5,000 words of content to find the answer. So to give that quick verdict, particularly in a review, to say that if you want to read the rest, it's here. But if you can't be bothered, it's like the TLDR, isn't it? This is, in a nutshell, in 2 or 3 sentences, what we think of this product. And then ultimately, it's either going to recommend them to buy the product, or it's going to recommend an alternative product. And then it's going to have it'll be in a nice little fancy box with a picture of the product and a button for the CTA. And then it will go into like features and specs, like what it's physically like to use that product. So if it's a physical product, what does it feel like? What does it look like? How does it work? How does it work over time? And that sort of stuff. And that's it really. And then into the verdict. It's not that complex. It's that's pretty much the format. So from people, we might talk a little bit about AI and that sort of stuff. I mean, I've dabbled with AI, but I've not used it for full content writing or anything like that. And I think the one thing that AI could probably assist with there is things like features and tech specs. But the one thing that I think will struggle to work with is what it's like to use that product. Yeah. So I very much want and I'm quite lucky in the sense that because particularly with the health and fitness, one of my main writers is pretty he was a PT, So he's well into the space, and he actually uses some of the products himself. So that really helps him to be able to write it. But that's it, yeah. And then obviously a verdict down at the bottom as well, and then littered with CTAs, which are mainly just going to be buttons, nice simple buttons, a contrasting colour to the rest of the theme or the rest of the page. The images scattered throughout, unique images preferably. And yeah, that's it really. There's
nice.
Internal links that are just contextually relevant. So I don't try and force internal links in, but if there's an opportunity for an internal link that fits naturally into that sentence, then I'll put an internal link into other products as well. And then the only other thing I suppose that I do when I publish a new piece is, again, on internal linking, is I'll just do a site colon search for my own site and then put in the new keyword so I can just check, have I got existing content where it makes sense to link from? And it typically with the top 3 or 4 on Google, I might have mentioned the product or a keyword associated with the product, so I'll just go in and internally link back. But that's all manually done as well. But most of that process is done. So obviously the writing is done by the writer. I'll give them a brief at the start of the month for all the content they're going to produce that month, and then they send it through to me. And it comes to me and an editor that I work with. Some of my sites I'm really precious on, so I just do the publishing on those myself.
Yeah, that's me.
And then some of my smaller sites, it's all hands off pretty much, and I just go in and just hit publish pretty much. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I do similar with my review content too. I don't know when I started or changed to do it, but essentially same thing. But instead of a quick verdict, I have the very short introduction. Then I have I put everything from the bottom up top, so the pros and cons, and then almost like a summary of the product rating, a little paragraph, some stars, that kind of shit. Yeah. and then the call
I've got stars in my quick verdict as well.
Yeah, gotta have them. Yeah. And then the CTA, and then into the actual review. And as you mentioned, talking about things that you can't find through just general product descriptions, your opinions or experience with the product, how it compares to other products you've used in the same category niche, your preferences, does that fit your preferences? Maybe you don't like something about it, but that's just your personal preference. Other people might like that, that kind of stuff that you can't replicate just from regurgitating whatever it is, and other things. And I think that's where most people, I say it almost every damn podcast, I think now, this exact thing. So it's one of the things you see from a lot of shitty reviews is just, these are the features, this is what it's made of, and this is the price. And that only gets you so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not that hard to write in, the opinions, is it? But yeah, there's the content out there for some of the stuff. I mean, fitness equipment in particular, like
shocking
physical stuff like spin bikes and stuff, it's absolutely terrible. The one thing I've noticed as well with Google is that they, even if I don't include pros and cons, they'll still pick up the pros and cons from the page.
Interesting. So
they scrape the page and they'll still display it. So they must be using AI or something to obviously do that. So that is interesting, yeah, for sure. Obviously, if I put the pros and cons in, it'll scrape those. But if I don't, it still scrapes them for certain search terms and puts them in. But it can only do that if you give the opinion in the first place. So if you've not given that opinion, it can't give a pro or a con, really. Not easily, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the fitness equipment reviews and stuff. It's like even just the main fitness queries. You've got sites like Men's Health and shit. I mean, all of those fitness magazines, and most of them are actually just giving wrong information, to be honest, and then just ranking based on their authority. And it's like, man, I thought Google was. I mean, people love saying Google's smart doing this, doing that, but I mean, they're ranking factually wrong content on many terms.
Yeah, I mean, there was the famous one, wasn't it, that was going around on Twitter about how many eyes does a horse have? And it was giving the answer of 9. So it's like, how many legs or something? Yeah, exactly. It's just nuts, isn't it? So and again, like you say, Men's Health and all these high DA sites, they game the system through. Well, they're not necessarily trying to game the system, but the system is being exploited just because of their high domain authority or high authority, however you want to say it. But it's going to have to come round at some point. Although people say this every year, we've been saying this for years now, that these high DA sites have got to be slapped. I mean, we're still in the middle of updates now, aren't we? And we're still seeing it. So I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, you started with the age domain. Did you do any off-page link building stuff with it, or were you just kind of left it as is because it already had the authority you needed?
Yeah, a little bit. Just initially. I'll probably still do 1 or 2 links, new links a month to certain pages if I feel they need a bit of a boost. But I was lucky with that site in particular that the links were pretty. They were really high powered, good powerful links, and they weren't exactly perfect for the niche that I've gone into with it, but they were very close. So I've not had to do a huge amount. And like I say, now it's at the point where it's kind of full authority mode, where it'll just, I'll put a review out and it just goes page 1 straight away.
Nice.
And typically, I see the same as what I see with other sites that I've got, where, say, if it starts in at position 5, 2 weeks later it'll be position 3 or position 2, or maybe position 1, without any link building. But that's where, particularly with an age domain, I think the internal linking is key. You know, like anything, you certainly don't want it to be orphaned, and the more that you can put those contextually relevant anchors pointing towards your new content, it just helps it. Yeah. So that's typically what I'll do, and buyer's guides are great for that. So if I'm putting, 1 or 2 relevant links, external links pointing in towards a buyer's guide, then I can individually review each product on that buyer's guide, and it just makes sense to internally link every time you mention, the first time you mention the product, then link product name to the product review, and the same for each. And then a 10 product buyer's guide has got 10 other pages that it's then linking out to.
Yeah, that's been killer for me too. And I don't even review every product. I review enough until I'm at number 1, and then I keep the rest in my back pocket, just in case.
Yeah, and that's it.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously you link back to the buyer's guide as well, so it works both ways. Yeah, It's perfect.
No, exactly. And then before we go a little bit into a couple of other topics around your travel blog and other link stuff, but I wanted to go into your YouTube strategy, what you're planning to do there. Are you planning to just do YouTube, turning your articles into YouTube videos, or are you looking to do more YouTube to essentially grow a channel and kind of link it back? Yeah,
I've not fully thought out the strategy yet. I was supposed to do this over Christmas, just kind of, when there's a quiet hour or two, sit there and think. And I'm kind of going full circle. I think I've made a decision and then come back. I've looked at what else is out there, and again, it's the same thing. Looking at Google, I want to create something that's better than what is out there at the moment. So there are some videos that are, real videos, people actually showing their faces and creating videos, but they're still not brilliant. And then there's a lot of AI type videos, which would be super easy to do, but it's probably not really going to help me in terms of EEAT. So I want to do it, and I want to do it properly. And then the next decision is, am I the face of it, or do I get someone else in to do that? And that's the bit I'm struggling with at the moment. So it's definitely going to happen. It's a decision that I need to make in the next week or 2. So it's one of those. There's reasons. Obviously, if I do it, it makes it much more easy. I've got the whole setup. I've got the cameras, the editing facilities, and all that sort of stuff. But do I want to be the face of it? Because then, people can easily find all of my sites. But then I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. Like, I
mean, you found mine.
Yeah, exactly. You're the face of a lot of your sites, and that. But then you've got a much more, your background is fitness and conditioning and strength, so it makes more sense for you to do that. Whereas I used to be a drama teacher, so it doesn't make quite so much sense. So I don't know, because is that something you're thinking of doing as well?
Yeah, it's so I actually started my YouTube. It must have been a little over a year ago, doing informational videos, turning my articles into videos and posting them, and then doing some extra videos that weren't articles before, just because they were topics that were educational for my audience, kind of thing. And then I just got sick of it, having to set up a shitty camera and do all that stuff. And I was like, damn. And then I started a podcast instead. I was like, hey, I can just get other people to talk, and then I get free content. But now I'm going back into informational stuff. So I posted my first one last week. I've actually got another one coming out in an hour that's scheduled to drop. And these are more, some of them are based on articles, but a lot of them just based on, there's just the same similar topics all through that. Like, people need, once you're in the niche, you kind of know, like, the common mistakes that people are always making. You can kind of just go into these different things, what people want to know. So I'm just kind of building out all these info videos. I filmed 3 last week in the home gym in the garage. And then I'm just gonna try to keep, I've got the whiteboard behind me as well. So I did one whiteboard video as the first one.
Brilliant.
And I'm just trying to, that's like kind of like my big thing for this year, is trying to expand the traffic source. I mean, I'm going hard on social too. I hated social media, but I ended up, I have a friend that was, he's got this whole Twitter strategy and all this stuff. And I started posting on Twitter, and then it automatically goes to Facebook, Instagram. And I ended up getting a sign up on my membership on the first day from that, because I saw he liked the Facebook thing. Then I saw his name sign up, and I was like, okay, there's got to be something to this. I'm just going to continue. I'm doing like 2 tweets a day and a short like video, basically a clip from the podcast that goes onto Twitter, like Instagram, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. So it's been pretty absolutely fucking insane trying to do all that.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the social stuff is not something I've done a lot of, and I do need to get into that a little bit more, but particularly I think with the travel blog, because it just lends itself to it perfectly with Instagram, for example, and TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
So that's something that I'm tasking my wife with. And then I've got an 11-year-old daughter who's started to show an interest as well. So she's like, I'll do your reels and I'll do your TikTok and all of this. And she's actually just started her own site as well. So we've just sat down and started creating a site for her in a
That's awesome.
Again, it's a sport that she plays. So it's something that she's super passionate about. It's not like it's fairly mainstream sport, but it's not like a big, massive, huge sport that everyone covers. So there's not a lot of sites out there that cover it. So it's a good starter for her. And like just at the weekend, she was sat in her bedroom. I was calling up to her, "What are you doing?" "I'm just writing my article." Like,
that's awesome.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
So the whole family are doing it now, apart from my youngest. And my youngest, she's 8, and she keeps asking me if she can start a YouTube channel. I'm like, oh, God.
Dude, does every want to be a YouTuber now?
Yeah, I mean, she just sees me doing it, I think, and thinks, I could do that. And we had a kitten as well, so she wants to do the YouTube channel about cats and about this kitten growing up, which is a nice, cute idea,
Yeah.
We'll see with that one.
Yeah, those travel video shorts. I mean, I've seen some recently pop up. Man, they must kill it. There's like the 5 things you must do while in Vegas.
Yeah.
And it's just like short clips put together. And I was like, damn, these things must absolutely cream it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit hit and miss in terms of how they do. But when you get one that goes, it flies. And that, again, it can just generate its brand exposure and then, obviously traffic into your site. So I'm quite excited about that one. It's something I've not done before, but I do like travelling, and my wife does as well. And she's not a writer, really. And this might be something to talk about, actually, that there's probably a lot of people watching this that want to start a site but don't really like writing. Mm-hmm. But so it's been a real struggle with me for a long time. She's a teacher as well. She's still teaching. But she doesn't particularly like doing the writing side of it. But she's done the first 2 posts for this site, and they're good. They're really good. And like I said, they've started to they have indexed and they've started to rank. And I think because it's something that it's almost like reminiscing on holidays and things like that, and the research side of it, and particularly she's an artist, so it's finding the things that are her strengths. So finding the imagery and putting video together and doing sketches, like custom sketches that we can then embed into the website and make it look really branded. That is great. She loves doing that. She'll do a little bit of the writing because she has to, because she's trying to learn the ropes. But I think, play to your strengths, I think is a good tip. And not everyone is a writer. And you used to write, or you do write, don't you?
I do write, I was never good at it.
Okay. I've seen some
That
of
was
your stuff.
fucking
It's not
shocking at one
too
point.
shabby. I actually like writing. That's one of my Achilles heels, really, that I do like writing. So trying to take yourself out of that is quite difficult sometimes.
I don't think I will. Like, for me, because for me, it's being able to, because I still write for other bigger fitness or sports science websites, and it lets me synthesize a lot of the thoughts and bring it together into one, like, almost literature review article. It's like, okay, now it makes sense to me because I wrote it and I can make connections that way. So I don't think I'll ever stop the writing part. It's just, for me, it's, I enjoy it now. It's part of like the coaching education kind of stuff. So yeah.
And the thing is, if you're the face of these brands as well, it makes sense for you to do that, doesn't it? And also for me, it just reminds me how much hard work it is. So when I'm asking my writers to do this and do that, it just keeps me in touch with the reality of what it's actually like to create that content in the first place. And plus, I enjoy it, so it's not a hardship.
It's
but
also
not everyone is like that.
It's also a refreshing approach to be like, okay, you've done 3 articles, but you have custom images, sketches, all that stuff on it, versus a lot of the trend now is, how quickly can I publish 1,000 articles to bring in traffic for display ads,
and that's never an approach that I've taken ever with any of my sites, and I won't change that with with this travel blog or any of these other sites, because if we're using ChatGPT or Jasper or whatever AI technology, we can do that. We can publish 1,000 posts super easy, but we can't necessarily do it to the standard that is going to give that long-term protection, I think. So it's all about quality for me. I'd rather have. I think the Age Domain case study is case in point.
Yeah, for sure.
It's got 50 pages, say, and it's making like 10k a month. So you don't need. I mean, you can, by all means. There's many ways to approach it. I mean, I've never even run a display ad to this date. That is going to have to change with the travel blog, because that is definitely going to be one of the monetization strategies. But it's still not going to be on we're not going to be creating 1,000 pages. No.
I'm the same as you without the display ads, but I get reamed for it every time I mention I don't have display ads on other things.
I know.
Dude, you're going to put them on.
Stop saying
you're leaving money on the table. I'm like, for now, on my smaller sites, I'll for sure turn up to the max. I'm just going to have whatever. But on my main personal brand sites, for me, it just doesn't make sense, and the content strategy doesn't fit with the display ad model. Obviously, I'm not trying to hit every keyword within the space, just the ones that I think are going to target my ideal customer or be able to provide some value to another page that is a valuable page.
Absolutely. I'm very much of the thinking that there should be one clear call to action on each page, or one clear action that I want a user to take. And because a lot of my content is affiliate, so it's all commercial, not all, but the majority of it is commercial, I don't want a display ad that is potentially going to take a click away, because that click potentially could make $50 or $100. So I'm never going to get that from a display ad. So it just makes sense for me not to run them. But I think, obviously, like I said, with the travel blog, it will be slightly different. Although that will still be a bit of affiliate as well, I think. But it's a new space, so it's all learning.
What's your take on the whole affiliate versus info content ratios then?
Don't believe it, is my take. And only because of my own personal experience. I've got... How many sites have I got now? I've got about 10 sites at the moment. Sold a few. So I've probably, in my time, had a total of about 15 or 16 sites. And yeah, I never started off doing I need 70% info and 30% affiliate. I always just went super heavy with affiliate. And I've never been hit by that as a result of it. Don't get me wrong, I think that there's definitely a place to have that info content, and there's reasons from an SEO point of view that why you should have it, because it supports it will support those articles from a topical authority point of view. But I don't buy into this idea that a site will get hit just because it's purely, it's like an e-commerce site is not going to get hit because it's only got e-commerce pages.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what it is. And again, with an e-commerce site, of course, you can have a blog and knowledge-based articles that are going to support collections and categories and individual products because it gives it that relevance. But Google's not going to just slap a site down because it's only got product pages and collections. So for me, no, I don't buy into it. I understand why people do, and I understand that people have done studies and there's data to back it up, but there's so many variables involved.
Yeah.
But I certainly wouldn't want anyone to watch this and just ditch all their info articles because I've said that. But for me personally, I don't buy into it, no.
Gotcha. I know recently, you tweeted about disavowing some links on your sites.
Yeah.
How are you deciding what you're disavowing, and how did you decide to start disavowing?
Disavowing is something I've done for a while, and I don't do it that often, so I'll probably do it every 6 months or so for a site. And I kind of tweeted it just to see what people's current thoughts were around it, to see whether people still think it's worth it. Because I know Google have said that they discount low quality links anyway. But I went into Ahrefs for one of my sites, and I just noticed that it was getting an absolute ton of really low quality links. So low DR, zero traffic, strange URLs,
all those scraper sites,
dodgy anchor text, scraper sites, and then like some stuff that just looked a little bit more malicious, that had strange anchor text, or adult related, or gambling, casino, that sort of stuff. Louis Vuitton handbags always seems to be one that comes up. I don't know why. So anything like that. I didn't disavow all of them. I just thought I'll do about 50 to start with and see what effect it has. I don't think it's really had any impact at the moment. That was about 2 weeks ago, maybe 10 days ago. Nothing's really changed since then. It's hard to say at the moment as well, because we're in the middle of an update. So I am getting minor fluctuations up and down each day on that particular site. But I don't really think it's down to the disavow. But I think it's just something to be aware of. That, because the last thing you want is if someone does do a negative SEO attack, and I know for a fact that people do negative SEO. I've spoken to I actually met Charles Float the other day in person. We went and had a chat.
So he exists.
He was saying the same.
Real.
He does. He's a real person. He's a real person. Found out he lives not far. Well, he's from not far from here. So he was back for meeting the family, I think, over Christmas. So and he was saying the same. He said, "Look, negative SEO, people are doing it. So you just need to be mindful of it."
Yeah, I have a friend in the health and fitness space. He got on one of his new sites, he got negative SEO. They hacked the site, and they ended up putting in the author boxes outbound links to like Xanax and other random prescription medication, and randomly throughout the article and stuff, and just like started tanking the site hard with that stuff. And that's something to be aware of. Maybe have backups and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And that again, it's if you put the disavow file in, see, don't go too heavy with it, but something like that, you definitely want to get those disavowed. And hopefully it can revive it, because you're going to probably pick it up quicker than Google is if you're keeping an eye on it. Not always. Sometimes it's a bit the other way around, but hopefully you pick it up before Google does. And to be honest, but the other good thing about checking your backlinks is you see the ones that come in naturally. And there's nothing better than just seeing a DR80 site pop up. Yeah. And you're like, where's that come from? Naturally got a link. Brilliant. And it's
so how often are you checking your backlinks then?
Probably once a month, I would say.
Dude, I check mine every day.
Month. Do you?
Dude, I jump.
You must be getting more backlinks than me.
No, dude, I'm like the affiliate dashboard guy. I'm just the dashboard guy, man. I check my affiliate commissions multiple times a day. I'd make sure every morning I check my keyword movements and I check my backlinks. It's just it's just what I do now because it's just good to know.
It's a routine, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is good to know. It's kind of satisfying to do it and just reassuring, definitely.
Yeah, or an addiction.
Yeah, both. But I do that as well. I've got like this morning routine where I check commissions. I'll check the rankings, and then I'll just check, and then I'll just double check the real time analytics just to make sure that it's not zero.
You literally just explained my morning before jumping on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
And then some other break during the day, I'll check something, or when Google Search Console updates eventually, just double check that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's easily done. I think the key thing is that. Oh, I'm sure everyone does. I mean, the thing is, I've even done a video on YouTube about not doing it and how it's bad to do it, but I still do it myself. It's really difficult. I mean, to be honest, I went through a phase where I started taking apps off my phone. So I took analytics off my phone. I took the keyword tracker. In fact, to be fair, I've not put the keyword tracker back on the phone. But you just find other distractions.
Or you just go into your browser and type it in anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Because you sat at the desk all day anyway, so it's easy to,
Oh, that's funny. Well, regarding the travel blog, obviously you mentioned you're writing the articles. You've already got the pictures for those posts. Does that mean you're going to start traveling more to be able to get content?
Maybe. I think that might happen. I need to look into like the legalities around the expenses for a start, because I suppose now it's me and my wife doing this. We should be able to put that on expenses for sure, because it's a legit travel expense. That's why I got her to do the site with me, not just on my own. We've already got. To be fair, we do okay anyway in terms of travel. We try and get a fair few weekends away with the kids as well. We've already got 3 holidays booked for this year, we'll probably put a few extras in. Wow. We've got a really cool treehouse holiday booked in it's like a 3-night thing in just there's it's in the woods where there's no one else there. I
think I've seen something like that. Like many years ago, there was some article or something about that.
Yeah, and it's just like in the trees, outdoor shower, hot tub. And you're just in the trees, and that's it, and there's no one else around. So things like that would be really cool and very Instagrammable. So it's perfect for multi-purpose content that we can take the imagery, the video, use it across multiple channels, put it on the blog. So we might do. Hopefully, we do a bit more travel as well. But we're starting. It's pretty much just a UK travel blog. So I was very conscious not to go too wide with it to start with. So there's so much just in the UK that we can do. So you're
going to be a travel vlogger
too? Hopefully. Maybe, that'd be good.
Then everything's definitely an expense if you're vlogging the whole trip, then you're going to bring the camera with you everywhere and whip it out everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's all through the business, so it should be good. And then so there's myself, my wife writing on that, and then I've got 2, possibly 3 other writers that can write for that as well, because travel's so easy to write for. As long as you can write and you can write in an interesting way, then I think travel's so easy to write for, because how do you validate yourself as an expert in travel?
You've been there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the key, isn't it? That comes back to everything we've talked about already.
Yeah.
Have you actually used the product? I've actually been to that place. If I've been to that place, there's the experience in EEAT straight away. How you validate yourself as an expert, I don't know. I suppose you've been to lots of places. The trust is you're establishing that by actually, showing that you've been there, writing in a style that people engage with. I think travel's probably quite an easy one to hit EEAT with. So if you applied that principle to any niche, I think there's certain niches where it's harder to do that, or it's more hard work to do that, or it's more costly to do that. But as long as you do that, then yeah. But of course, you could scam the travel niche. You know, you could just, like you say, you could just write 1,000 articles and just use stock images or nick images off Instagram. But is that going to do well in the long term? Probably not.
So what would you be targeting them, say, for that treehouse holiday? Because I'm just trying to think now. Okay, travel blog. Are you looking like best treehouse escapes or something like that, or are you reviewing that specific location?
Yeah, probably within a certain area. So there's the search volume there for sure. Like if you were looking at like best treehouse holidays or something like that, then there's a lot of search for something like that. Whereas you could go a bit more targeted, perhaps to a location. So let's say like the best treehouse holidays in Wales, for example. But and then there's obviously affiliate opportunities with that. Then for booking, there's direct brand deals that can be done as well. So there's a lot of opportunity there if you get something like that ranking. And then probably just the review of the actual place. Yeah, it's super easy to rank.
Oh, for sure.
Because there will be people that want to just type in and search the name of the place as well. So, there's lots of opportunity. The big thing that surprised me with that niche in particular is the search volume. The search volumes are massive, even just in the UK. And then obviously you've also got people searching from outside the UK for things to do in the UK. So there's so many opportunities.
No, that's awesome. I think we pretty much covered everything I had on my little list here, but if anyone wants to follow you, find you, and kind of follow your journey with some of these sites, where can they do that?
Probably the best place is YouTube. So The Affiliate School on YouTube. I have got a Twitter account as well, which is @NicheJason, I think.
We'll link it all up.
They're the two places. Look it up. I'm pretty sure it is. I'm fairly new to Twitter, so that's still a new thing for me. But yeah, the Affiliate School on YouTube.
Perfect. Well, thanks for coming on and sharing everything to do with your case studies
James.
and sites, and hopefully this is insightful for anyone listening, and they can relate to the multiple times checking your affiliate dashboards as well.
For sure. Cheers, James.
Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you're listening. Until the next episode, goodbye.